Welcome to the Simple Idea Podcast. My name is Makai Green, and this is a podcast on self-help and personal development. If you're new here, I typically just talk about some of my lived experiences, and I just try to give a really authentic approach as to what I have going on, which might be good, it might be bad, but at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is to just improve upon wherever I'm at, and to just always strive to get a little better each day at a time. So if that sounds interesting, you're in the right place, and like I said today, or maybe I haven't said it already, but today's episode is about social anxiety and kind of how I'm dealing with that on a day-to-day basis and kind of just my history with it and stuff like that. So I'm going to hop into it like I normally do. Still have my script and whatnot. And for those of you watching this episode, this is actually the first video episode or like episode that is somewhat visual, I guess. So we're going to try to maintain eye contact with the camera and, not be too terrible at this. This is my first time doing this, so just bear with me. But yeah, still have my handy dandy script here. Let me see. Yeah, so let me just give you guys a little bit of a back story or a little bit of history behind my social presence, I guess. So I used to be a very social person. Growing up from I don't know if you want to count pre-K, but like kindergarten to about 9th or 10th grade, I was pretty social. I was friends with most people, talked to a lot of people, had a ton of acquaintances. Plenty of friends, knew everybody in my school, got along with everybody. I wasn't not social. I was a, pretty outgoing, pretty confident, pretty social person. And not to say that I'm not any of those things still, but things have definitely changed. And that kind of took place the end of my freshman year going into my sophomore year, I want to say, is when I decided to kind of take a step back from people. And I don't know, I kind of had like a little bit of a breakthrough moment. Personally, when I was in, I think it was sophomore year, my end of my sophomore year, something like that. But I kind of just realized that not everybody's my friend. The people that you have around you, you have them around you, but there's no real meaningful connection with the people that you're associating yourself with. If I were to kind of dive into that a little further, like basically these people that I went to school with, yeah, I would talk to them, I'd joke around with them. We were cool in school. Outside of school, didn't really talk to them too much. Didn't really know a whole lot about them. But these are the same kids that I've grown up with for the past, 5 to 10 years or so. And for me to not know, most of their birthdays or to not really know anything outside of like their favorite sports team or just stuff that you would know about friends, I didn't know any of those things. So I kind of sat back and, had a realization that these are just people that I talk to on an everyday basis. If I were to disappear 5 years from now, would they even remember who I am? And I kind of just reflected on that, and my answer was no, they probably wouldn't, because I didn't have any real meaningful connections with these people. I realized I didn't have any real friends, and I'm not saying that to sound like a edgy, outcast, loner type of person, but I might have had, 5 to 7-ish good friends that were like genuine friends compared to everybody else that I was kind of associating with. So what I did was I just stopped socializing with most of the people that I was talking to. I went from somebody that was extremely social in every situation, extremely outgoing, extremely confident, to somebody that, decided to take a step back and just kind of keep to myself. And something that I decided to do was, just maintain that level of, just secluding myself up until this point, which is, up until like a month or two ago, really. So the end of 2018. So from my sophomore year of high school to my junior year of college, I've decided to kind of keep to myself. I gradually became less social, less outgoing, maybe a little less confident, and I generally kept to myself. And that was all due to a realization that I had about 4 to 5 years ago, really. And this kind of leads me into my story or my like situation with social anxiety, I guess you could say. So next thing I kind of want to talk about in relation to that, I basically outcasted myself, and there was some good that definitely came from it, which is great. I learned a lot about myself, and I'll get into that. But yeah, I don't know. By completely eliminating and erasing the people that I was associating with, like these 200 to 300, 400 kids that I talked to day in and day out, every day in high school, and just even outside of high school, those kids that I talked to, that I didn't have real relationships with, or purposeful, meaningful relationships with, I decided to just cut them out and focus on not the quantity of people that I let into my life, but the quality. And it's really cheesy and really corny. And at that age, I feel like most kids aren't really, reflecting on something, that profound, I guess. But I found myself in that situation as a sophomore in high school, where I decided to focus on the quality, because in my head I'm thinking I'd rather have a few really close, good, meaningful relationships that I can dive further into, that weren't just surface level relationships that typically you see at that age, where everybody wants to be popular, everybody wants to be mainstream, everyone wants to be just out in front of people. I didn't want that. I wanted something a little, a more down to earth, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So by outcasting myself and keeping to myself a little more, I was able to find those relationships, and I built some really, really cool relationships with the people that I was closest to at the time, I guess. And it kind of taught me more about myself and just valuing, genuine friendship, and just kind of how I should operate around people that show care for me and how I can care for them. So that was really cool. It's something that I've learned about myself, and to this day, that's something that I kind of pride myself on having at such an early age. Not trying to, show off or flex or anything like that, but yeah, I don't know. I'm grateful to have found and, to have been aware of the idea of having meaningful people, because a lot of people, they go throughout their life just kind of thinking that everybody is their friend, or they just kind of stay on that surface level relationship with most people, and they never find a genuine connection. And I want to be able to talk about something outside of what most people talk about. I want to be able to explore somebody else's head and have like an actual intellectual or deep conversation outside of what most people typically have. And on top of that, I also managed to just kind of find out more about myself. And I say that because when I kept to myself, I didn't talk to the same people I talked to. I went from talking to a few hundred kids every day to maybe about 5 to 10, maybe 15 or 20, but it was a significantly less amount, is my point. And because of that, I wasn't able to be as influenced as most kids my age. I kind of didn't, not that peer pressure is a thing, or I mean, if you feel how you feel about peer pressure, but for me personally, I never really experienced that, because I kind of just set off and did my own thing. I stopped talking to these people that I was talking to every day, who might have had some type of influence on me at one point in time, because I no longer did, because I didn't talk to them. I was in my own zone, my own little bubble, figuring out my own, my own life, kind of figuring out what I like, what I want to do, just stuff like that. I was kind of able to figure out stuff, or more things about myself that I didn't know before, and I don't think I would have, went down that path if I didn't decide to keep to myself or outcast myself. So I'm grateful for that. I was able to, bypass that thing people consider peer pressure, I guess. That wasn't a thing for me. And on top of that, because I was sitting back and keeping to myself, I was much more observant. I'm already a somewhat quiet and pretty analytical and observant person. Back when I was pretty social and talkative and, in different social circles and whatnot, I would say that, I talked a lot more than I listened. But by sitting back and kind of just doing my own thing and being on the outside looking in, I was kind of just able to, be a little more observant, notice things more, and then I would just kind of listen before I spoke. And I think at that point in time, I needed to be able to do that, because I would say that listening is a more valuable tool in most cases than talking. But yeah, that's just something that came along with outcasting myself, and that's definitely the good part of this. Oh yeah, and lastly, and I'm still looking at my script, by the way, so that's why if you guys see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. But yeah, I decided that I don't know. I just ultimately during that time I decided to embrace myself and kind of just like I said, figure out who I am, and I wasn't really worried about judgment from other people, because when you decide to cut off those connections that you have with those other people, even if they were loose connections, you're not worried about what everybody else is thinking. You can kind of become a free thinker, do your own thing, and not really get caught up in a shitstorm of, just popularity and just stuff like that, just stuff that high school kids do. I wasn't really involved in that just because I decided to not care about what people thought of me. I just went out and did my own thing, which is great. And because I kept to myself, I was able to, experience that early on. Most kids don't, go through school doing that. They're kind of influenced by the people. They're worried about judgment. That wasn't me. And all due to me outcasting myself. And all those things are great. And I'm really thankful that I was able to experience that. And now it kind of helped me build myself up to a person who has those qualities or characteristics, which is great. But at the same time, I also came across some pretty negative, side effects of outcasting myself, and that's where the social anxiety part kind of comes in next. So I'm not going to try to, make this too negative, because ultimately I'm addressing my negative just to get to my positive and talk about how I can improve upon where I'm at. So just bear with me if it sounds a little negative. It's not. I'm fully aware of this entire situation, which is great, because ultimately this podcast is about improving. I'm going to take these earbuds out too. But yeah, like I said, there was some bad that came to outcasting myself. And one of those things is by, going from talking to, some 50 to 100 to 200, 300 kids a day to, being on the outside looking in, I generally felt less connected to most of the people in my school. And I went to a pretty large high school. There's some, 1,500 to 2,000 kids, which is, a pretty large amount. So imagine going from talking to, a small portion of that school, which is a pretty large amount of people, to, maybe just keeping to yourself most days, or, talking to 5 to 10 people on a daily basis. And, you have different schedules, so you're not always able to see those people, and just plenty of other things. But I just started keeping to myself more, so I kind of felt less connected, because, like I said, I was on the outside looking in. Yeah, so because of that, at times I felt like a sense of loneliness, but I don't want to say it was bad. I am glad that I kind of isolated myself a little bit, but maybe I did it to an extreme. I didn't realize that I was able to, still have those acquaintances, maybe not be as emotionally connected to those people that I was, because my issue was that I didn't feel that same connection from them. But yeah, I don't know. I just it was a sense of loneliness, but it wasn't anything that serious. Like, it's something you get over, and it wasn't, that traumatizing, I guess. I'm making it seem like it's bad. It really wasn't. But, yeah, I guess that could be considered a downfall. There's some other things that I kind of... Oh, yeah. On top of that, I actually did lose some pretty, valuable connections with people that, I did consider acquaintances, or, kind of okay friends. Like I said, I kind of went on a purge and cut most people out that I didn't, not that I didn't see value in them, but I kind of just cut most people out. So I might have lost some pretty cool connections, or, people that I talked to, and I didn't really think about that at the time, because, I was kind of just focusing on keeping on to myself and just going down that route that I went. And ultimately that kind of just led to missed opportunities. Like, since I wasn't talking to these same, social groups, and these same people that I was talking to for, most of my school career, I guess you can call it. I might have missed out on, like, hanging out with certain people, or, just different events, and, people not hitting me up, I'm not hitting them up. So just by, throwing myself over here, I kind of just made myself, an outcast, and I kind of made myself a little isolation chamber. And with that move, it kind of had some ups and some downs, and that's what I'm trying to get at. But ultimately, this has led me to where I'm at now, which is, like I said, I'm not trying to get too depressing with this, because it's not depressing at all. I do want to, like, very, very clearly state that this is just me recognizing where, I have a weakness, and where I need to attack this weakness and get better on it. So if this sounds bad, it's not that grim. Just bear with me. I'm just, trying to explain my situation with social anxiety. But yeah, starting off, and word choice might not be the greatest, excuse me, but I feel like I'm in a dark place in terms of socializing with people, because for the longest time I went from somebody who was in and out of most social groups, getting along with most people, and not to say that I don't get along with most people now, but I went from being that person who was kind of everywhere in this social scene to literally on most days talking to maybe 2 or 3 people, And then outside of that, keeping to myself. So when you do that for 4 or 5 years, it's not that I forget how to socialize, but there's some nerves that come with it because I'm not too sure why, actually. That's what I'm trying to get to the bottom of. But my point is that I'm in a dark place because of my move to put myself in this isolation chamber. Like I said, this is not meant to be depressing. This is kind of just me, addressing what I have to work on and like what my current state is. So yeah, I don't know. Like I kind of want to talk to different people, and I see people out there, and I'm like, oh, that'd be cool to go talk to them, or oh, I like their shirt and whatnot, and just I have the urge to go talk to other people, but for some reason there's something that holds me back from doing it, and it's kind of like overthinking, and then I want to go talk to them, but I freeze up or I don't say what I want to say. And this developed out of nowhere because if you would have told me that my current day self is acting like this, me 4 or 5 years ago would have said, "What? Are you crazy? You can go talk to anybody. They're just a person." And at the end of the day, people are just people. We all bleed the same. We all breathe the same. We generally have the same fears. We have the same, hopes, dreams, aspirations. We have a lot of things that make us one and the same, although we're all different. And I think I lose track of that when I'm in these social settings where I'm overthinking, where I could honestly just walk up to this person that I want to talk to and just start a conversation. But internally, there's something in me that tells me not to, or that, I freeze up and I overthink, or what if they think my voice is stupid, or what if I say the wrong thing? And that's not something I should be worried about, because, there's some, 7 billion plus people on this planet. If one person doesn't want to talk to me, or if one person doesn't want to, entertain a conversation with me, I'm not going to die. It's not going to kill me. I'm not going to regret that, 10 years from now, chances are. So, I don't know. Like, I'm at this point where I'm recognizing that this is something that it's a weakness, and it's something that I'm not proud of, and something that shouldn't be happening. And I don't want to say that as if like I'm on like this higher state of being like a better person than most people, but for me personally, like that doesn't make me happy. I don't like that I'm in a situation where I can't freely and openly talk to people to the same extent that I used to. Like, to me, it's embarrassing. It's something that shouldn't be happening. That's ultimately what I'm trying to get at here. But yeah, like I said, I overthink and I freeze, and I think it's due to me for the past 4 or 5 years really keeping to myself and really just kind of focusing on me. I forgot to focus on other people because I guess I was able to, or not fully understand how to, operate around people. Just because I have an emotional connection or some type of connection that most people might not have to me doesn't mean I can't still have those relationships. And this might be like diving into like a totally different, episode within itself, so I'll try to keep that like pretty brief. But yeah, I don't know. It's basically it's my fault for putting myself in an isolation chamber, and I am willing to admit that like I'm in my current situation because of me, and I think it's just a learning experience. It's just learning and trying to be better and trying to do better, and not creating a situation like this in the future. But yeah, really, I overthink these situations that don't require much thought to begin with. It could be as simple as me walking up to whoever I want to go talk to, or just saying my mind and going from there. Like, I know it's not that deep, but it's easier saying it than actually doing it. So right now I'm recognizing that I need that change, which leads me into this next segment that I have and some of the points that I want to make. So I kind of recognize this behavior over the past year. I would say at the end of 2018, so this past year, I was able to, sit down and really address it. And at the end of the year, I kind of did some reflecting because, I've been going through a lot of personal things, which is, some of you guys, or some of the episodes have been about that, which is, kind of the aim of the podcast. But, yeah, I don't know. I did some reflecting, and this is something that popped up. So about, 2 or 3 months ago, I recognized that I had this issue, and I just sat there and reflected. I'm like, all right, how am I going to fix this issue? Not, oh, I can't talk to people. Oh, I'm nervous, or I'm scared, or, I'm not good in social settings. I keep to myself. I'm a quiet person. And yeah, I might be a quiet person, but that doesn't mean I can't, that doesn't mean I don't have the ability to interact with people. That's ridiculous to me. So this is the good part of this episode where I kind of talk about how I'm going to tackle this, or what I'm doing currently to tackle this issue that I have. And I don't want to make it seem like I have like this huge issue and that I'm throwing myself a pity party, because that's not what I want. Like I said, I'm really just trying to, address an issue that I have, focus in on it, and then try to figure out how to improve upon it, because that's why I have this podcast. I keep stating that, but that's very important to me. And I do want to mention this before I get into this recognizing that I need to change part, but my approach is always going to be authentic with you guys. If I'm going through something, you're going to hear it. If it's good, or if it's bad, up or down, positive or negative. I'm going to give you my real lived experience, because that's what I want to do. And this platform is allowing me to do that. And I just want to grow and be better. Hopefully you guys can pull information from this that, you kind of relate to yourself about, or other people, and even improve upon yourself. And I'm not here to give advice, but like I said, I'm just kind of sharing my experience. So let me not, go down this sidetrack diversion type of conversation here. But yeah, by recognizing that I need to change, I've kind of implemented different things that I've been doing over the past, month and a half to 2 months. And I'm just taking very, very small steps into re-entering casual conversation. So those conversations that I thought about having before that I might have been a little nervous about, or I overthought, now if I feel uncomfortable about going to go talk to somebody, what I'll do is I'll just say, okay, you're uncomfortable, that's good. Go talk to that person. Assuming it makes sense and the context is right and the situation's right. But, if I sense any kind of uncomfort, if that's even a word, like any time or any type of anything that makes me nervous, I'm like, all right, that's the perfect time to do it, because you feel like this. What you want to do is get rid of this feeling. So I just take small steps, and I just start little conversations with people. And it seems kind of stupid because, conversations are easy, and I'm very much aware of this, but, I'm at a stage where I'm nervous to have a conversation sometimes. So I'm just throwing myself out there, and I'm just doing it. And something that I've been doing every week is I compliment one person a week, and maybe that compliment is going to make their day, or maybe they're having a rough day. So that's kind of how I view it too. And on top of that, it kind of gives me a chance to, start a conversation. If I see somebody with a pair of shoes that I like, I'm like, hey, I like your shoes. Where'd you get them? So not only am I complimenting their aesthetic or their choice in clothing, but, it's maybe a chance to start a conversation and, maybe get to slightly know one random person out of all the people in this world. So that's something that's it's been helping me a lot. And I do this with one person every day of the week. So every day I pretty much have to start a conversation, which is good. It's putting me out there. It's making me get out of my comfort zone. And at the same time, I'm hoping that I'm making somebody's day if they're having a rough day. So it's been working pretty well for me, and I'm going to continue it for, probably a very long time. I don't want to say I'll do it forever. It's something that I probably should do forever, and I'll attempt to, but, we'll get there. And then on top of this, I don't want to talk about this too much, because I'm a firm believer in, if you're doing something for somebody else, just keep it behind the scenes. Do it because you genuinely want to do it, not because, you want to get some type of social media, approval, or, just getting praise from other people online, or just people in your different social circles. So I don't want to get too much into it, but, I'll just give you a brief idea of what I'm doing. Once a week, I do one kind act for some person. And in that kind act, it's a chance to, start a conversation, get to know somebody, kind of like the last thing that I was doing. It kind of just forces me to, possibly make somebody's day. And on top of it, I get a chance to start a conversation, get out of my comfort zone, and work on a weakness that I have. So like I said, I'm not going to get too much into it, but yeah, that's another thing that I'm doing. Let me see here. Oh yeah, on top of this, I've been told by multiple people, mostly my family and some friends, I guess, but I have like a naturally kind of like mean looking face when I have a straight face. So I've been trying to make myself look more approachable and smile more. And when you smile, it actually kind of boosts how you're feeling and just your mood. So when I notice that I'm not smiling, I smile more. And I just, in general, try to make myself look more approachable, happier. And I'm happy all the time, but sometimes it might not appear that way because my resting face just looks kind of mean, I guess, from what I'm hearing. So that's another thing that I'm adding on to these small steps that I'm doing to kind of re-enter casual conversation. And this has just been something I've been doing for the past 3 or 4 months, because prior to that, I was, in a pretty rough place for like the past year 2018 was not the greatest year for me, and I might get into that in some other episodes, but that's not all that important. My point is, I was not that I was a negative person, but I was in a pretty negative situation, and that negative situation kind of cleared up, and I recognized some like bad habits that I had and some bad traits, and I just started working on being more positive. There's no reason to not be positive. So every day I try to keep a positive mindset, and I just make sure to be a little more optimistic than most. And it's not a competition, but that's just something that I want out of myself. Excuse me. I want to be able to sit here and just be this extremely positive ass person that just crushes everything because I had that mindset there to back me up. But yeah, we're ending. We're not ending, but we're getting close to the ending of this episode. This was a new attempt here with the visual side of it, and I'm hoping that I get better with it over time. Like I said, this podcast is all about improvement and just developing your skills and just being a better person. So we're gonna try to get better with talking to a camera. I think I kept my eyes on the lens the entire time. Hopefully you guys like this visual aspect. But yeah, let me hit this closing real quick just because we're running out of time here, and I try to keep it under 30 minutes. Ultimately, what I want you guys to understand here is that I'm nervous here about just re-entering social situations, but I'm also really happy and really excited to go conquer this weakness that I have, because it's something that can be conquered if I just put the time and effort, and I put my mind to it. It's not anything too crazy. It's not this insane thing that I won't be able to get better at. So I'm just trying to share just something that I have going on with you guys and how I'm going to tackle it, because like I said, I just want to improve. I want to get better. I want to be the best possible version of myself that I can be. So I'm excited to tackle this issue and kind of just go from there. But ultimately, this is just me getting over overthinking, and I think I overthink in a lot of aspects of my life, and I'm a little bit too analytical, I would say, and it's good because I double, triple, quadruple think things, like I said before, but sometimes that's my downfall, and in this situation it is a downfall, because I just need to act. I don't need to think. I mean, think responsibly, like I said before in prior episodes, but I just need to do and to be less analytical, to not overthink as much. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw myself out there. I'm going to make myself uncomfortable, and I'm going to get better at this thing that I want to get better at. And if you guys are going through something similar, or if you have a situation like that, please definitely don't think responsibly, but don't think, just act. If something makes you uncomfortable, do it. Chances are it's not going to kill you. And if it's this exact same situation, just go ahead and tackle it. You're going to feel a lot better about it at the end of the day. And like I said, I'm excited to just be or get on this journey, or continue this journey actually, that I have going on now. But yeah, we're getting close to that 30-minute mark, so I'm gonna close out pretty quickly. If you guys are going through anything similar, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. I don't have any other social media at the moment, but you guys have my tag. It'll be in the description of this episode. It's @GreenMackay, and you can find me there. I'm down to talk about anything. Just share some ideas, thoughts. Other closing announcements. I launched my YouTube channel last week. I have one video up right now, and it's pretty bad, but I'm gonna keep working on it, and hopefully I get better and kind of develop my own style. So you guys can go check it out. The first video is titled I read 10 pages of a book every day, or something like that, and I just kind of go over why I read books every day. It's pretty cool. The quality's pretty bad, and I'm really bad at talking to a camera, as you can probably tell from this episode. I actually had to record this like twice, and I actually forgot to use my microphone, so that's why I did that. But yeah, we're working on it, and hopefully we're getting better. Also, I upload every Friday at 12 p.m. noon Eastern time, so look out for new episodes every Friday. This episode might be late, so please forgive me on that one, but we're gonna maintain that consistency and a consistent schedule. Lastly, I am looking to introduce music to the podcast. I'm not sure how I'm going to go about doing it, but if you're a producer and you make beats and you want to feature your beat on the podcast, I'll take a look, and if it fits, I will add it. Lastly, the podcast is available on all major platforms, so you can find it on iTunes, Spotify, and all those other platforms. And that's all I got for you guys today. So peace out, and I'll catch you next week.